Okay, today I'm going to show you how to can your own sliced pickled jalapeno peppers. This is going to be a video that is very specific to beginners, so if you are really familiar with canning already, you can fast forward straight to the recipe if you want, but I'm going to take a second right now to show you how to can and the materials you'll need before you get started. The first thing you're going to need is you're going to need a canning pot. I got this canning pot right here. See this canning pot? From Walmart. It is the granite ware and it is a 21.5 quart. I've also seen them at like hardware stores, and I think Academy carries them as well. But like I said, I got mine from Walmart, and see, here's the lid. It will come with this rack on the inside like this. That's what you're going to use to lower the jars down into the water. And you see it has this little curve right here. That is so you can hang it on the side like that. Then you load your jars, around it. Then you take the handles and you lower it down into there. All right. Okay, another thing you're going to need is you're going to need mason jars. You can pick these up pretty much everywhere these days. The grocery store carries them, or at least my grocery store does. Walmart does, Target does. I pick these up from garage sales all the time because you're going to wash them and sterilize them anyway. They'll usually come with their own lids and rings. You can reuse these rings over and over, but these lids, they have a seal on them, so you're only supposed to use them once, but you can buy a box of just replacement lids. Another thing you're going to want a wide mouth funnel. This funnel is great because it fits right into this jar like this. It makes filling these up very easy. Another thing you're going to want to have is this gripper utensil. It fits right onto the mouth of the jar like this. Mine just broke. It fits right into the mouth of the jar like this. It makes it easy for lowering it and raising it out of your canning pot. Also, a magnet. This little magnet is amazing. You're gonna boil the lids and rings and jars later. Stick this right down in the water and it pulls your lid out of the boiling water for you. One more piece of tool you're gonna want is this little stick like this. On this end, I don't know if you'll be able to see in the camera, but it has measurements. It has 1 inch, 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and 1/4 inch. What you need this for is a lot of recipes will tell you to fill your jar up to a 1/2 inch headspace or a 1/4 inch headspace. What they're referring to is how far your liquid is from the rim of the jar. So they have measurements on here. So if your recipe says 1/2 inch, you'll put that right there. And as long as your material is touching the bottom of that, that's when you know you're at the right space that you need. And you can buy this whole kit, like the magnet, the measure stick, and the tongs, and the funnel, all from Walmart in one kit. Alright, so now let's talk about the ingredients that you're going to need for these jalapenos. Jalapenos are one of the easiest vegetables to can, and this recipe only has 4 ingredients. You're going to need 12 to 15 jalapenos. I'm using some about this size from out of my garden. You're going to need 4 cloves of garlic that you're going to want to smush and chop up. You're going to want 2 tablespoons of pickling salt. I get this Morton pickling salt at Walmart. You can get a different brand. This is just the brand that I use, and I buy this big box. It's really inexpensive. And you're going to need 4 tablespoons of white granulated sugar and 1 cup of white distilled vinegar. That's just plain regular white vinegar. Okay. Okay, you want to fill it up with enough water so where when you put your jars in there, the water completely covers them, but we're going to take them apart. But you want the water completely cover them. Now remember, when you're filling this with water, when you add jars, your water level is going to go up a little bit. So let's go ahead and get this filled up. Okay, so I've got my water in here. You probably can't see the water line, but there's the water line about right there. I'm going to go ahead and cover this, and I'm going to set it on high and bring it to a bowl. While it's boiling, I'm going to go ahead and wash my mason jars and get them ready. Another thing I'm going to do while I am waiting for my water to start boiling is I'm going to go ahead and give these jalapenos a good rinse. Make sure I washed them when I brought them in from the garden, but I'm going to rinse them off again just to make sure that we don't have any foreign anything on them. Okay, so now my water's good and hot. It's not boiling, but you'll see the steam coming off of it, so you know it's good and hot. So I'm going to go ahead and drop my mason jars down into that water so they can start sterilizing. I'm doing 5. I'm not real sure how many of these jalapenos I make, but I'm going to have 5 jars ready just in case. And I'm also going to throw my rings and lids in there. Some people think that you should do your rings and lids in a separate saucepan of hot water, but I don't really know what the point is. Why can't we just use the same water? There's enough room in there. I mean, I guess it'd be easier to get them out of a saucepan, but since I've got my handy dandy magnet, I'm just gonna, since I got this, I can get them out of anything, so. All right, and I'll let them go ahead and just sterilize for about 15 minutes. Okay, so now it is time to slice up your jalapenos. And one thing I forgot to mention in the beginning that you might want to use is gloves. These jalapenos are very hot, and if you don't use gloves, your hands are gonna get hot, they're gonna burn, and mine will burn for days after if I forget to wear gloves. Also, don't touch your hands, don't wipe your hair, don't touch your nose. If you have to stop and do something, take those gloves off, throw them away, put on a new pair of gloves. But I highly recommend you cut these jalapenos wearing gloves. You want to slice them in sizes about that thick. Or I guess if you like them thinner, you can just slice them to the thickness that you desire. Our jars are sterilized, our lids are sterilized, our jalapenos are cut. Now the fun starts, we get to start stuffing our jars. Here's where your handy dandy funnel is going to come in. You just set it right there inside the lid. And you're going to want to fill your jalapenos as high as, I guess about to right here, because you're going to add some liquid too. Okay, so I had 12 jalapenos that I sliced up, and that gave me enough for 2 jars. So I boiled 5, but I'm not going to need those. I'm just going to use these 2. Okay, now let's get our liquid ready for our jalapenos. You're going to take your cup of vinegar, pour it in a small saucepan. You're going to add your garlic, your 4 tablespoons of sugar, and your 2 tablespoons of pickling salt. You're going to heat that up until all that sugar and salt dissolves. Alright, so our sugar and our salt is dissolved now. So we're just going to pour this straight into our jars that already have the jalapenos in it. Alright, we want to pour this in to where we leave about a 1/2 inch headspace at the top. Looks like all my garlic tried to come out. So let me scoop some of that out so that the next jar gets some. Okay, now that I've rescued some of that garlic, I'm going to finish filling this up, and I'm going to fill up my other jar. I will use my little measuring tool to measure this just because I'm trying to teach you. But when you start doing it a bunch, you'll be able to just eyeball it. Alright, this is how your tool works. If I can get it to focus for you. You see these little numbers right here? There's the 1/2. So you would take it and you would set that part on your rim, and as long as your bottom touches the liquid, you're good. Let's try this one. So this one could actually use a little bit more. See, I'm not quite touching there, so I'm going to add just a little bit more to that one. Alright, we're pretty good now. Okay, so now you want to take a very clean towel, or I'm going to use a fresh paper towel, and wipe the lids like this, just to make sure you don't have any liquid there that would prevent it from sealing correctly. Next, take one of your metal lids, set it right there on top. And then take your rings and tighten it, but not too tight. You just want to tighten it enough to where, like, hand tighten it. Make sure it's in the right, there you go. Just hand tight, not extra tight. The tightness is going to come whenever you actually put it in the canner. Alright, let's move it to the pot. Alright, your water should be at a good rolling boil like that. If you're unsure what a rolling boil is, that's it. Alright, now take your cans and set it right on that ring. I'm going to put this one in the middle just for now. I'm actually going to set them opposite of each other though, so it stays balanced and they don't flip over when they're in the water. Okay, now just lower your handles slowly into the water because you don't want to flip them over. When you have more in here, like 6, 7 at a time, you have less worry about that. Alright, and you want to make sure that your jars are completely covered with about 1 inch of water. Mine looks like it only has about 1/4 inch of water, so I'm going to add another saucepan full of hot boiling water just to make sure they're covered a complete inch. Okay, I just added another saucepan full of boiling water, so now we're going to cover this and just let it cook and do its magic for about 20 minutes. Okay, they have been boiling for 20 minutes now, just, whoa. Get that cleared away so you can see. We're just gonna go ahead and take them out. You can use that little tool here. Grab them just like that. I just screwed them to the side to get that water off the top. Then you're gonna set them to the side on a clean, dry towel. Okay, they are here and they're cooling out. This one actually just popped. And by pop, what you're gonna hear is these jars, as they start to seal, this lid is gonna go, can make a noise like that, and that's what you want to hear. And whenever you press it down right here, you don't want it to pop back up. If it pops back up, it's not sealed correctly. So this one hasn't made that noise yet, but it will. And you see how it's got a gap here at the bottom? That's okay. And that just means I could have put more jalapenos in there, but there's nothing wrong with that. Don't let that worry you. That's normal. That's how they look out. Now, you just, when it cools off and your lid's dry, get you a Sharpie and write on here what's in it and the day that you prepared it. And then you can store it in your pantry in a cool, dark place for up to a year. Some people will say you can go longer than that. I don't recommend it, but they probably won't last a year in my house anyway.